Okay, so today I would like to do some revision of what we did last week with the ba conditional. So if, then, using the ba form. We're then going to not do too much new stuff today, but I want to look a little bit more into the ba conditional and at least point out the regulations where and when we cannot use it. It doesn't matter too much if you remember all of it, but it's just important to remember that you can't use the ba conditional freely, like asking for requests, unless certain criteria are fulfilled. So we'll have a little bit of a quiz to see if you can spot which sentences you can use and which sentences you can't. And as we started the obligative last week using ba, using nakareba narimasen, do a little bit more practice on that. And then we'll just do a lot of revision exercises from stuff we've done in the past. So some using the obligative and some not. Here comes somebody else. Okay, and then we'll finish with a little slide on. Hi, Elena. Hi, Elena.
Hello, Andy.
Hello.
Everyone.
We'll finish with a little bit of an interesting look at days of the week and how they are mysteriously connected with the European days of the week, which will be repetitive for anybody who's come to the class more than once this week, but never mind. Okay, so let's do a little bit of, oh, here's Simon. See, you're right. If you build it, they will come. And there was us thinking there was only going to be 3 of us. Turns out the party's going to be packed and we'll all have to stand in the kitchen drinking. Hi, Simon.
Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa. Okay, so let's start with a little bit of revision. I'm going to work in a different order because Tom always gets the same questions otherwise. So, Konstantina, how would you say, if you pay the bill, then I will meet you outside? If you pay the bill, then I will meet you outside.
Okay. Bill is kanojo or kanojo.
Sorry, kanjo. Kanojo is woman. If you pay the woman, I will see you outside with her. That's probably not the same thing.
No. Sorry. Kanjo or kanjo. Haraeba. Soto de aimasu.
Good. Kanjo o haraeba. Soto de aimasu. Good. Hi guys. Hi Sophie. Hi David.
Hi everyone.
See, it's packed. We're going to have to go and stand in the hallway. Okay, Sophia, how would you say, if you listen to music, then you will be able to sleep? If you listen to music, then you will be able to sleep. Mazu, mute o kirete kudasai.
Okay, now you can hear me.
Yes.
If you listen to music, ongaku kakereba.
So remember, listen is kiku. Kiku.
Kiku.
Yeah.
Ongaku ga kiku. Kikereba.
So remember, for group 1, the u becomes an e, and then you just put ba at the end. U becomes e, and put ba at the end. You're muted again, Sophia. There's no getting away from answering the question. You have to make it audible.
Okay, ongaku ga kikeba.
Okay, so ongaku. So you're going to do, if you do something with music, so it would be ongaku, not ga, but o. Yes.
Oh, good. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Ongaku o kikeba.
Good.
Nemas is sleeping, so you will sleep. Nemas.
So neru is the infinitive, neru. And obviously it's a group 2 verb. So how would you turn that into the ability, into the potential form? Do you remember?
Okay. I've been driving around and I'm a little bit, I haven't concentrated yet.
Sure.
Oh, to nemo, nemas, nemtai.
Okay, let me help you. Let me help you. So for group 2 verbs, to turn them into the potential form, we chop off the ru at the end, as we do with almost everything we do with group 2 verbs, and
Nemaru,
put rareru, rareru. at the end.
rareru.
Yeah.
Okay. Nemu, rareru.
So neru, just neru.
Neru,
Chop off the ru and put nerareru.
nerareru.
Yeah. So this is
Okay.
also a group 2 verb.
Ongaku. Okay, so ongaku o kikeba
Mhm.
nerereba. Nereru.
Okay.
Nerareru.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay. So this is grammatically fine, but we want to make the sentence into the polite form. So just listen to the sounds a second. Ne, ra, re, ru. So this last ru means it's also a group 2 verb, even in its potential form. We can chop that off and put mas at the end. Ne, ra, re, mas. Hey, dozo. You're muted again. You don't like being heard, do you?
It turns off by itself anyway.
Ah, okay.
I have a ghost in here.
I see. Yeah, it's getting very dark suddenly as well.
Ongaku o kikeba ne raremasu.
Perfect. Ongaku o kikeba neraremasu. Ongaku o kikeba neraremasu. Excellent. Well done.
Thank you.
David, how would you say, if you push this button, then the door will open?
Am I unmuted?
No, I can hear you. That's fine.
Okay, cool. Botan o oseba
Good.
doa ga akemasu.
Akimasu. Good, good. So just so we are refreshing ourselves from things we've done in the past, how would you say if you push this button?
Kono button
Yes,
o
good.
oseba doa ga akemasu.
Excellent. Kono botan o oseba door ga akimasu. Excellent. Well done, David. Elena, how would you say if you wait here for 5 minutes, then a bus will arrive? If you wait here for 5 minutes, then a bus will arrive.
Koku de mateba basu ga kimasu.
Perfect. Koko de mateba basu ga kimasu. And
I have a question.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I heard this sentence a couple of sessions before, and there was an addition to it, like if you wait here 5 minutes. So do we need to say something like rokupun kan mateba, or just rokupun mateba?
So the problems of using hours and minutes and years and days is it's important to not get confused with, for example, it's now 5:10, so it's goji jupun. So it's very clear from that statement, ima goji jupun des, that it's 5:10, and that 10 minutes means it's actually 10 minutes. Usually, if you say jupun, then this just means 10 minutes by itself. It doesn't mean 10 past the clock. So it's normally quite obvious. You don't need to say gofun kan. It's not a mistake. It does make it clear that you're turning a time into a duration by putting kan at the end. The only time that you really must use it, this kan, is on hours, goji kan. Because if you just say goji, this means 5 o'clock. But if you say goji kan, that means 4 or 5 hours. But for minutes, it's not quite so important because you don't tell the time by just saying the minutes. So you can say gofun kan, but it's kind of redundant, really. You can just say gofun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I understand. Thank you.
The same thing happens with years, guys. That if you want to say, I was in Japan for 5 years, you could say gonen kan Nihon ni imashita. Gonen kan Nihon ni imashita. So that says for the duration of 5 years, I was in Japan. Just go with me for a second, guys. Just run this course with me. If you were in Japan for 2,000 years, if you said nisen nen Nihon ni imashita, this is saying I was in Japan in the year 2000. So you'd have to make a distinction and say nisen nen kan to make it clear you were saying 2,000 years. So that doesn't normally crop up as a problem with years, but it can certainly crop up as a problem with hours. Yeah, you can just say gonen Nihon ni imashita. I was in Japan for 5 years. That would be fine. Okay, so just on that question I gave you, Elena, there's another alternative to saying kimas, which means it will come. Did you pick this up at the previous lessons, Elena?
Toyaku.
No,
Tojaku.
nearly. Yeah, tochaku. Tochaku. This means to arrive, like arrivals and departures. Tochaku.
There was something like shupatsu shimasu. Is it?
Yes. So shupatsu means depart, and tochaku means arrive. Let's look at tochaku first. So tochaku shimasu means to arrive, and it's a noun. That's why we have shimasu at the end. Tochaku.
Basu ga toshaku shimasu.
Yes, exactly. Basu ga tochaku shimasu. And then, as you said, Elena, the word for departures is shuppatsu. Shuppatsu. Yeah. Shuppatsu. So it's with a hard P. Shuppatsu. And this is used exactly in airports where there is a tochaku section and a shuppatsu section, arrivals and departures. Good. Okay. Thanks, Elena. Simon, how would you say? If you
Excuse me.
Yeah, go Yeri.
How was that toshaku? Is it return or is it the arrive?
Arrive.
Arrive,
Tochaku.
okay.
Tochaku means to
Yeah.
arrive. Yeah.
Same than kairu to motoru.
No.
Kairu is coming to home.
Is going home. Yeah. And modoro.
Going
also,
home.
Yeah. Modoro also means to return back to a place, not
Okay,
necessarily
yeah.
your home. But tochaku is the equivalent of kuru, kimasu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Simon, how would you say, if you call me, then I will come? If you call me, then I will come.
That was the really short one.
It was, yeah, 2 words actually.
Yobeba kimasu.
Yeah, exactly. Yobeba kimasu. If you call,
Okay.
I will come. Yobeba, yobu. Turn to the conditional. Yobeba kimasu. Guys, just as a just to get us started on this regulations for the ba conditional, let's look at this really easy sentence, yobeba kimasu, and ask ourselves, what's this? This sentence is made out of 2 parts: the condition and then the consequence or the result. So all if-then statements, all conditionals have got the condition. If you do this, then this will happen. So you've got like a part A and a part B. What's the subject, Simon, in part A in the condition?
That's you. If you call.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, is it the person you're talking to? Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then what's the subject of part B?
That is me, because I will come.
Exactly. Yes. Good. So let's for the moment just keep our minds on this, that the subject of the condition might be different to the subject of the result. Harry, you looking confused? Sorry, can you unmute yourself? Oh, you're looking at something from work. You're still muted at the moment, but I can't. You're still muted. Okay. Okay. So yeah, let's just keep our minds on the fact that there's a part A, a conditional, which the subjects might be different to part B, the outcome. Okay. Thanks, Simon. Amanda.
And they are active verbs also. If you call and I come. So they are active verbs, but it's okay because it's different subject.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yari, you're spoiling the game by giving away the rules too early. It's going to be a lovely surprise at the end when you realise it's really complicated.
So if we were to say call and come, what? Yobeba kaerimasu? No.
Yobeba kimasu. Yeah.
So how do we know that the subject in our example is you call and I come?
Yeah, exactly. You'd have to know the context of the sentence. So for the example I give is, say you were taking your visiting EIDO teacher to their hotel room and everybody was staying in the same hotel. Maybe you're staying a few doors down and your teacher knows your mobile phone number. You could show your sensei to their room and say, right, we're meeting at 5 o'clock. If there's any problems, yobeba kimasu. So if you call me, I will come. This would be quite obvious from the context. But actually, if we wanted to make it clear what the subjects were, then we could put them in. It's just usually we wouldn't. So you would say, so Simon, do you want to have a go? How would you put the subjects into this sentence? Or
Yeah,
actually, I should say actually subjects and objects. Sorry.
Yeah, but okay. So we use them even though usually you don't. So you would say anata wa watashi ni yobeba watashi wa kimasu.
Perfect. Exactly that. Exactly this. Yes. Anata wa watashi o yobeba or watashi ni yobeba watashi wa kimasu. This would be saying the whole sentence, but we wouldn't have to say this. It would normally be clear from the context, but if it wasn't, then you could say watashi ni yobeba kimasu. Then it would make it a little bit more clear. Yeah. There wouldn't be any need to say anata wa watashi o yobeba watashi wa kimasu. Watashi o yobeba would be enough to give context, I think. Yeah. Okay. Amanda, how would you say if you can read kanji, then it is simple to travel in Japan. If you can read kanji, then it is simple to travel in Japan.
Kanji or yomeba, Nihon de ryoko ga kantan ni. I'm not sure whether shimasu or dekimasu, but I don't understand why.
It's the potential form. You
so
can
dekimasu.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. Good.
So shimasu would be you travel.
Yes, it would be you will travel simply in Japan, which
it's a bit strange a thing to say.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, it's like if you can read kanji, you'll be automatically transported to Japan where you'll be traveling.
Yeah. So can I ask a question about particles?
Sure.
So I said kanji o because it kind of felt right to say kanji o, but I don't really understand. I mean, I understand if you're doing something you're reading them, so that's o.
Yeah.
And that's why I used ga in the other half, but that was just a guess, really. So.
Okay. So actually, this question is a bit of a trap, because the question was if you can read kanji. Now, what you actually said, Amanda, was would be understandable actually in this context, but you said if you do read kanji. So that would be kanji or yomeba. So that is grammatically correct. Kanji or yomeba just means if you read kanji. got nothing to do with potential. It's just if you go and read some kanji. But to put this in as it was stated in the question, let's work through this together and make this first condition grammatically correct and in accordance with the question. So if you can read kanji, let's look at that. So let's start off with the infinitive, Amanda. So to read.
Yomu, is it?
Yomu, yeah,
Yomu.
exactly. And then able to read.
I don't know.
Okay, so for group 1 verbs, the potential form, we replace the u with eru. Eru.
Okay, sorry, forgot that.
That's okay.
So yomeru.
Yomeru, yes. Now, if you look at this word yomeru, that's in the infinitive. Let's turn it into the mass form to say I can read in the mass form. You'd say yomemas. Now, which group then, based on the way that you've just changed it from yomeru to yomemas, what group is that in?
Two.
Exactly, yeah. What was originally a group 1 verb, yomu, that's group 1, yomimas, has now jumped into group 2 by turning into the potential. So if you now say, if you can read, yomeru would become
Yomereba.
yomereba, exactly, the conditional form for group 2 verbs, yomereba. Now in that case, what would you do with kanji o?
Ga.
Exactly, use ga for the object when you're talking about.
Use ga.
Sorry, one more time.
If in doubt, use ga.
Yeah, it's pretty much the go-to particle, isn't it? Yeah.
What's the main differences with yomu and yomeru?
So yomu means if you go and read some kanji. It's got nothing to do with your ability. It's just saying if I read this book, that's yomu. If I read this book, but if I say if I can read this book, it's asking, are you able to read this book? Can you read it? Not will you read it? It's do you have the ability to read it? Wakarimasu ka?
Yep.
Do you have a Finnish equivalent?
No. I was just
What?
thinking.
I don't believe it. You must be able to say, I am able to read and I am unable to read.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I mean in Finnish, not in Japanese.
Lukea.
Right.
Lukea in Finnish.
So that's different to I read, isn't it? Or I do something and I can do something are different, aren't they?
Voin lukea. We
Right.
use one word more. Voin.
Right. Okay.
Voi means you can.
You can. Right. Okay. So this is
Yeah.
the same. Yomu is I read, and yomeru means I can read. I am able to read. Yeah. So, Yari, you said it. You said yomu koto ga dekimasu. That's what it means. Yomeru means yomu koto ga dekimasu. It's just.
So it's a shortened version of that.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. So, Amanda, can you now do that whole sentence again? So it was, if you can read kanji, then you can travel in Japan simply.
Kanji ga yomereba. Nihon de ryoko ga kantan ni dakimasu.
Perfect. Kanji yomereba. What was it? Nihon de kantan ni ryoko ga dekimasu. In some order, anyway. Yes.
Can I just ask quickly? Sorry. For group 2, wasn't it rareru, not reru only? So it would be yomerareru, not yomereru. Yomeraremas, not yomeremas.
Sorry, tabereba. So for yomereba. So hang on a second. Let me write it out, guys. Otherwise, it might be a bit confusing.
Yeah, sorry. I was
no, not at all. That's fine.
So yomeba was fine, but without re, it's not the
Yeah.
same. Potential is re.
Yes. Yeah. Give me a second.
Yep.
So, so if I do I'll use my go-to verb for group 2, which is taberu, to eat, because that's what I do most of the time. Taberu. So the conditional of group 2s is tabereba. Okay, so it's this. You can see the ru is coming off and it's been replaced with reba.
Oh, yeah, okay, I see.
So yomu. That's okay. It's good to go through this because it's good just to kind of see this so that you can see how the transformation is made. So the conditional of the potential. God, I never thought I'd be teaching the conditional of the potential. Yome, chop off the ru and stick reba. So that's how it would look in. Yeah, like this.
And also the yomeba without re, it in a little different meaning. Yeah.
Yeah. Now the problem would be, Simon, I think where you might have been going with is if I say if you can eat, then it becomes an awfully long word. So taberu becomes taberareru. So now I have to take off this ru, and this becomes if I can eat becomes taberarereba. Taberarereba.
No, I mixed up the transformation into conditional and the potential form.
Sure, that's okay. It's always good to have a little bit of a deep dive on these and see how to make them. Good, okay. Taberarereba. Try not to do the conditional with group 2 verbs, guys, because you'll end up dislocating your jaw. Okay.
Can I just jump in? Because
Sure.
I had almost the exact same question.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask, why isn't it tabedaremas? But I think you just explained that, but I'm still a bit...
So taberarimas means I can eat, I have the ability to eat. But if you then want to say, if you have the ability to eat, if you can eat something, then you turn it you go from the infinitive into the potential, the ability verb, and then into the condition, you turn that into the conditional. Yeah, and then you dislocate your jaw.
Is this the same point that you were making about to see, I can see, and can be seen the other week?
Not really, no. This is purely pure. You mean about taberareba or?
Those are just freestanding different verbs.
They are, yes. Yeah, exactly. They just reflect a subjectivity or an objectivity to a verb. Yeah. Or sorry,
So,
a passivity and an activity to a verb.
to see, you don't need to do this because there's a verb that you can go to that means that anyway.
Exactly, yes. So yeah. So miru, to see, the potential form is mirareru, but that is, sorry guys, this is a kind of offshoot. Mirareru is also the passive, meaning to be able to be seen, to be visible. So when you say, yama o mimasu, I will look at a mountain. And then if I now turn that into the potential, that becomes yama ga miraremasu. But that is exactly the same sentence, kanji for kanji, character for character, as the mountain can be seen. So it means the same thing, but it's just changing the ability from your ability to be able to see a mountain to the mountain's ability to be seen.
Yeah, so the subject is different.
Yes,
in that.
yeah. But if you really want to emphasize that you're talking about your ability to see something, then you jump to a different verb, which was mieru, which is a group 2 verb, which is also a group 2 verb, mieru. Yeah. Which means...
Asoko ni mireba Fuji-san wa miemas.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We have write it up.
Yeah. So that was mireba though, which was if you look, but mieru means I can see. I literally have the vision to see. It's talking about your ability rather than the conditional. Okay, let's move on because otherwise we're going to end up just talking about something that's not on the subject.
Oh, sorry.
Is that your wife calling?
Yeah,
my wife's arrived home. Okay, Harry. If you cut strongly, then your wrists will hurt.
I got this one last time.
Okay, let's give you a
Let's see
different
if I
one
can
then.
remember it.
Oh, yeah, why not? Why not?
Okay. Cut is kiru.
Good.
Strong is suyo.
Tsuyoi, yeah.
Suyoi. So suyoku.
Good.
Kiru. Kireba.
Perfect. Good.
Tekubi.
Good. Your hand, neck.
Ga.
Mm-hmm.
Itai. Des.
Okay. Grammatically, that's
I think that's
fine.
what I said last time
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah, grammatically, it's fine. It would be understood. So you're saying if you cut strongly, then your wrists will then be painful. So this is all fine. This will be completely understood. But to be really grammatically consistent, what it's saying is the more you cut, the more your wrists will become painful. So it's not like your wrists will go from being painless to painful in one step. They will gradually become more painful.
Naru.
Good, yeah, naru, exactly at the end. Yeah.
So tekubi ga itakunarimasu.
Exactly, yes, perfect. Okay, good. Can you say the whole sentence one more time? Deep breath.
Strong.
Tsuyoi.
Suyoku. Kireba.
Good.
Tekubi ga itakunarimasu.
Perfect. Tsuyoku kireba tekubi ga itaku narimasu. Excellent. Well done. Good. So here we've got using the ku form of the e adjective in both of its different ways, using as an adverb and using the ku form to indicate how something is changing into that more towards that adjective. Okay, Yari, let's have a go at something. In fact, I know it already. It's if you eat lots of sushi, then your tummy will become painful. If you eat lots of sushi, then your tummy will become
I have
painful.
heard this many times,
But
it's
really?
okay. Takusan sushi o tabereba onaga ga itaku narimasu.
Very good. Okay, so I'm going to give you another one anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, here. If you look over there, then you can see Mount Fuji.
Okay. Over there, Asoko ni
Yep.
mireba
Yep.
Fuji-san ga miraremasu.
Perfect, exactly. Okay, good. You must be always located at the same place in the Zoom session, Yari, so you always get the same questions.
Or near. Someone have maybe said
Exactly.
it before, just before me. I remember, that's why.
Exactly, yeah.
But it's good to remember because it helps to learn.
Yes, for sure, for sure. In fact, if you, I think this about generally Japanese language because it is very consistent.
Mm-hmm.
If you can remember one model sentence for every type of grammar, then, and it can be almost the same sentence. Like,
yeah, it's lead to answer to the other situation also.
Exactly, yeah, yeah. Just change the words, exactly. Okay, Tom, how would you say, if tomorrow is hot, then you won't need a coat?
明日暑ければ and don't need a coat. ことが don't need しません
So hitsio was the adjective for necessity.
必要ではありません
Yes, that would be fine. Good. Moshi, sorry, ashita ga atsukureba koto ga hitsuyou dewa arimasen. Or, what's the other thing you can say, Tom, instead of dewa arimasen?
De areba?
Oh, no, just to negative, to negate hitsuyou.
Hitsuyou. Hitsuyou, it's not adjective. So you can't use the kunai.
Correct.
What's the other way of...
So, guys, just remember that all na adjectives are also what? All na adjectives are all
nouns.
Nouns. Yeah. So how would you say no? So it goes from being necessary, if you use it as a na adjective, hitsuyou. If you turn it to a noun, it becomes a necessity. So how would you say there is no necessity?
I thought I did that with the negative form of the verb.
No. So how do you say there is no? There is not any. What's that verb? It's the existence verb for dead things.
After aru.
Aru, yeah.
Arimasen.
Arimasen, yeah. So you can say hitsuyou ga arimasen.
Arimasen.
Yeah. In
I
fact,
have no money. Yes. Okane ga arimasen.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. In fact, for hitsuyou in particular, usually rather than saying hitsuyou dewa arimasen, most people say hitsuyou ga arimasen. There is no necessity. There is no need. Yeah. Good. Okay.
Why we say koto ga hitsuyou? Why don't jaketo ga hitsuyou?
Oh, I don't know. Was it koto? It wasn't koto as in miru koto ga dekimasen. It was koto as in coat.
Jacket.
Yeah.
Koto.
Yeah.
Koto.
Koto. Yeah.
Long o.
Yes. Yeah. The first one is koto, and then the second o is short. Koto. Yeah. Okay. And then finally, Naska, are you still with us after being awake all this time? If you get thirsty, then you can get some water from over there. If you get thirsty, then you can get some water from over there.
I don't remember thirsty.
Okay, so this was if your throat gets dry, which was nodo, meaning throat, and then to become dry in this context verb is kawaku. Kawaku.
Nodo ga kawakeba, asoko de mizu ga moraimasu.
Perfect. Nodo ga kawakeba, asoko de mizu ga moraemasu. Excellent. Well done. That was quick. Wow. Well done, guys. That was exceptionally quick to get through those. Right. Okay. Let's now look a little bit more deeply at this ba conditional, just so that we can see that we can. Oh, David, sorry, did you do one because you disappeared? You did, didn't you? Yeah. Okay. Right.
Button push.
Hi, that's all, isn't it? Okay. So just one note first, guys. So, for example, let me just go up one slide a second. So hopefully you can see the bottom of this. We said last week that for nouns and adjectives, you can use de areba for the conditional. However, actually, most Japanese people don't use de areba for nouns and adjectives. They use a slightly different conditional form, which is nara. So after any nouns or na adjectives, which are basically the same thing, you can put nara to make the conditional. But you should treat this with the same rules as the ba conditional for now. I'll talk about a different use of nara in a few weeks' time. So, for example, you could say, Ashita, hima nara Tokyo ni ikimasu ka? Hima nara Tokyo ni ikimasu ka? So, tomorrow, if you are free, will you go to Tokyo? Okay. Right. So let's now just look at these rules. Now, this box here is something I just took off of a website, which was quite convenient. And I've got a simplified version of this, but this lays it out in extreme detail. you don't need to worry too much about writing it out at the moment, because we'll do some practice and look at different ways to remember this. But the rule is, when the subject of sentence 1 is the same as sentence 2, then if the the conditional sentence 1 is an action verb, then you cannot, in the consequence in the second part of the sentence, have expressions of the speaker's will, hope, order, judgment, request, invitation, permission, or prohibition. Anything that sounds like a request or an expression of your feeling, you cannot put into sentence 2. So you cannot ask for things, you cannot say, please do this, or is it okay if I do this, or please don't do this, or would you please do this with me? You cannot use this in sentence 2. All you can use is natural consequences. So for example, if you push this button, then the door will open. This is fine actually, because you're not talking about I want the door to open, or I will want to open the door, or anything like this. You're just saying automatically, if I push the button, the door will open. Yeah. Okay. However, if the condition in the first part of the sentence, if it's a state like aru or iru, or if it's a verb or an adjective or a noun, then there is no regulation. You can make any sentence you like. You can say, please do this. There's no regulation. The only regulation is if the subjects of A and B are the same, and A is an action verb, then you cannot have an expression of your will in B. So I've actually summarized this a little bit more pithily down here. If the subject of the conditional and the consequence are the same, and the condition is an action verb, then you cannot finish with a volition or a prohibition. You can write that down if you want to. You don't have to. These slides are available to you. And as I've said here at the bottom, you can use absolute certainties in the second part of the sentence, even if the subject is the same. So, for example, if you said, if I don't eat too much, then I will get slim, then you can say this, because you're just saying if I do A, then B will happen naturally. However, you might find it easier, rather than worrying too much about this ba conditional and this regulation, to use a different form of conditional, which I'll teach you in a couple of weeks, which is the tara form, which has a lot less regulation than the ba form. Now, just to summarize this, so we can get it a little bit fixed in our heads, even if we don't remember it for a long time, I've created this little algorithm. So we can keep this up on the screen while we're doing our little quiz. So with a conditional sentence using ba, first question is, are the subjects of the condition and the result the same? If they're not, then you can make the sentence, it's no problem. If it's yes, then you should ask yourself, is the condition, the first part of the sentence, an action verb? If it's not, you can use ba. If it is, then the final part of the question is the result a preference, a prohibition, or a hope, or an expression of your will? If it's not, you can use ba. If it is, then you cannot make the ba conditional sentence. Right, we'll leave this up there, and we can use this as a little tool to just do a little quiz. So let me just expand the gallery window.
Short question.
Andy.
What was the hima meaning?
Hima. So hima is actually it's an adjective. So you can use hima. You can use that sentence with hima. That's fine. David, go ahead.
Yes. Is nara a different conditional to ba? And if it isn't, is it subject to the same rules?
Okay, so using nara in the same way that I said earlier about using it after nouns and adjectives, you should treat it to the same rules, really. There is going to be a different use of nara in a couple of weeks' time, which I'll talk about then. Yeah.
Okay, so just for now, under the same rules as the ba.
Yes, treat it the same way. Harry.
I don't understand the first bit in your flow chart because it says if the subjects of the conditional and the result are the same.
Right. So do you remember this this sentence, Yobeba kimas, that Simon did earlier, which
was you and me.
Yeah. Let me explain it through. Yobeba kimas. If you call me, then I will come. So the conditional.
So first one's you and the second one's me.
Exactly.
But didn't you just do one which was? Didn't you do one which was? If I eat, I'll too much, I'll get fat. And
Right.
That's I.
Yes, it is. Right. So let's just have a look at that though. Are the subjects of the condition and the result the same in that one you just said, Harry?
Mm-hmm.
They are. Yes. Okay. Is the condition an action verb?
Yes, it is.
Taberu.
Okay.
Yeah. So it is. It is. So we still have to go through this and check. But is the result a preference, a prohibition, an expression of one's will? I will lose weight.
No.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. It's not, is it? So it's almost
okay.
Yeah, it's a natural consequence of doing something, so you can use it. Yeah. Yeah.
If you hope you are not losing weight, then you can't use it.
Right, exactly. I mean, if you were to say, if I don't eat much food, then I want to eat more carrots, then that would be an indication of your will or your preference. Yeah. Okay, let's try some, guys. So, guys, can you all raise your right hand, please? Literally raise your right hand. Just make sure that none of you have got your image mirrored, and raise your left hand. Just make sure you've got both limbs. Okay, good. Right, so if a sentence is able to be used, I'd like you to raise your right hand. So right is right. And if you cannot use it, then raise your left hand. Okay? And I should tell you now, there are no prizes for this quiz. In fact, there's not even any scorekeeping. Naska?
I am mirrored. This is my right hand.
Oh, that's fine. So it will look to yourself like you are mirrored, but I can see it as your right hand. So it mirrors from your screen, but it's normal for me. Yeah. Okay. So here's the first sentence. It's in Japanese, guys, so you're going to have to do a little bit of translation. Ashita, Yumi-san ga Tokyo ni ikeba, watashi mo ikitai desu. Ashita, Yumi-san ga Tokyo ni ikeba, watashi mo ikitai desu. Okay. If anybody doesn't understand the sentence, can you put both of your hands up like Rabbit is? Okay. Ashita, Yumi-san. So Yumi-san is a person. Yumi-san ga Tokyo ni ikeba, watashi mo ikitai desu. Okay. So Harry thinks no. Elena and Amanda, what do you think? Elena thinks yes. And okay. So Harry, as you're the odd one out, let me ask you, why do you think you cannot say this? Sorry, you need to unmute.
Because the second bit's an expression of want.
Right, but let's go through this little algorithm. That's the easiest way to do this. Are the subjects of the condition and the result the same?
No. Oh, okay.
So you can use it. Yeah, good. Okay. Well, is that what everybody else thought as well? Yeah, okay, good. Okay, here's number 2. Hima nara, tasukete kudasai. Remember, put 2 hands up if you don't know. So hima is if you're free, free time. And tasukete kudasai means help me. Hima nara, tasukete kudasai. I can see some minds being changed as you think about it. Everybody else has put their right hand up and I'm putting my left hand up. Maybe I've got it wrong. Okay, so Elena, you're the only person who says you cannot use it. So why do you think this?
because it's the same person, the same doer, the same subject in the first part, in the conditional part, and in the resultative part.
That's correct. But how about this bit, this question though? Is the condition an action verb? Himanara, is that an action verb?
No.
No. So if it's no, it means you can use the sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Right. Number 3. Osake o nomeba unten ga dame desu. Osake o nomeba unten ga dame desu.
This unten?
Unten is to drive. Yeah. Okay. So just Harry and Elena to answer. Okay. 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 Elena, do you want to? Have you decided? Okay. So I think again you're the odd one out, Elena. So let me ask you if you can unmute yourself. Are the subjects of the condition and the result the same?
Yes.
Good. Is the condition an action verb?
This is that I don't understand what is condition and action verb.
Right. So osake or nomeba is the condition if you drink sake.
Yes.
So yeah,
Okay.
it is an action verb. But is the result a preference, a prohibition, or a hope?
No.
Actually, it was a prohibition. By saying damedes,
Dame.
yeah, you're saying it's not good. You mustn't do this. Damedes, it's not good. So it is actually a prohibition.
Actually, a question about that. It's understood that the subject of the second part is the same because you want to say you can't drive, but literally it means it's wrong or it's not good.
Right.
Right. And this is actually a state.
Of course, right. But it must be the same person, because if it wasn't, the entire taxi industry would be failed.
But in English, you can say if you drink alcohol, it is wrong or not good to drive. And then actually grammatically, the second part is not the same. It doesn't have the same subject.
Sure. But what it means is if you drink alcohol, then you cannot drive.
Yeah. So it's more the intended subject rather than like grammatically.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's saying that you driving, if you drink alcohol, then you cannot drive. Because otherwise it would be saying if you drink alcohol, then driving is verboten.
Yeah, exactly.
For everybody.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Which is the reason why we keep friends with Rachel Hand Morris. Okay. Last question. Italia ni ikeba pasta o tabetai desu. Italia ni ikeba pasta o tabetai desu. Okay, David? Okay, so David, you think you can use it. So why do you think you can use it?
I just put up the wrong hand.
Oh, okay. Konstantina, did you put up the right hand or the left hand? Right hand. So Konstantina, why do you think you can say it?
Because it's me. If I go to Italy, I want to eat pasta. It's the same subject, so there's not a prohibition. It's not as I am thinking about it.
Okay.
I have as first a rule the subject first and everything else.
So we have to be careful that all
This is the
three
easiest.
of these questions are asked. Okay. So are the subjects of the condition and the result the same in this case?
Yes.
Yes. Is the condition an action verb?
No.
It was.
Action. Yes.
Italia
Yes.
ni
Yes. It
ikeba.
was.
Is the result a preference, a prohibition, or a hope? Pasta or tabetai desu?
No, it's not a preference. It's volition. It's I want.
Yeah,
to
it's
eat.
a volition. So I didn't put everything in here, but it is a subjective
Ah.
volition. Yeah. So you have to. Sorry, you have to
Okay,
really refer back to this one to make sure you get all of those kind of things.
Okay.
Anything which is about your will, you know, your intention, or your kind of subjectivity about something. Even if you're saying to somebody, no, you mustn't do this, a prohibition, this is still an expression of will. The only time
Sorry,
give me a second. The only time that this becomes no is really if something is a natural consequence, something that automatically happens, like pushing the button and the door opens. This is a natural consequence. It's got nothing to do with whether you want to do something, or an expression of will, or not wanting to do something. The Thai is also an expression of your will. I want to do something.
Of course. I mean that if you can put in the last sentence in Thai form, then you know you are wanting something. If you're not, it's maybe not. Should be different subject or.
Okay. So let me ask you the same. Let me ask you something now. Let me say the sentence again. I'm going to change the sentence slightly, and you tell me whether you guys vote right or wrong if you can say this. Italia ni ikeba pasta o tabemasu. Can I say this?
Yes, you can.
You can.
Yeah.
I've got a few people shaking their heads.
You can.
Yeah.
Actually, you can't.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So think about the sentence.
It's not a certainty you eat so.
Exactly. It's not a natural consequence that if you go to Italy, you will eat pasta. It's saying, if I go to Italy, I will eat pasta because I want to eat pasta, not because you're going to be force-fed pasta.
So even the first one was wrong.
I'm in Italy, right? I'm in Italy right
actually,
now, and I can confirm
both was wrong.
I'm in Italy.
Yes, you're quite right,
we eat pasta every day.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
So the you can't use ba even if there's no explicit I want to, just like if it's implicit.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. If there's an implicit expression of willingness to do something, then you also cannot use it. Yeah. I mean, guys, think of it. Let's think of another thing. If I jump off the cliff into the sea, I will get wet.
That's true. You can use it.
Okay.
Because of that
exactly
extra rule. Yeah.
Both of these.
You can't change anything. You will be wet.
Right, okay. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. The grammatical structure is the same as the one about going to Italia and eating pasta, saying pasta or tabemasu. If I jump in, I will get wet. But this has got nothing to do with your volition. You will get wet. It's a natural consequence of jumping into the sea. So you have to look at the implicit meaning of the sentence. Elena, dozo?
Yes, I have a question, but so this sentence has two parts, and but the subject is the same in both parts. Is it okay to use bar in this case?
So we have to go through this decision tree, really. So if they are the same, you then have to ask yourself, is the condition an action verb? And if the answer is yes, then you have to ask yourself the question, is the result a preference, a prohibition, or a hope? And if the answer is yes, then you cannot say the sentence. If it's no, then you can say the sentence.
Yeah, so you can say, but not in this way.
Yes.
Yeah. In other words, not
so
using
to be clear, we can use that sentence to go to Italy if you just say anata wa, or a name, then it's okay to use the ba form. If you were to say Patrick's Italy ni ikeba, then we could use the Thai form because the subjects are not the same.
If Patrick goes to Italy, then I want to eat pasta, or Patrick wants to eat pasta. No. So again, so if you, let's look at that that example sentence that I slightly changed. Patrick san wa Italia ni ikeba, pasta o tabemasu. If Patrick goes to Italy, then he will eat pasta. Now, the subjects and the condition are the same. Subjects of the condition and the result are the same. The condition is an action verb, Italia ni ikeba. Is the result a preference or an expression of will? It is really, isn't it? Patrick isn't being, apart from what Simon said, Patrick isn't being forced to eat pasta. He's not falling into a swimming pool full of pasta and has to swim his way out by eating his way out. He will, by volition, he will eat pasta. So you can't say this. Yeah.
Is it true you can't use the Thai form for somebody else anyway?
This is true. Yeah, exactly. You'd have to use mas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you say Patrick san Italy ni ikimasu and eat pasta, then it's okay. You don't use ba. You just say he is going to Italy. Yeah.
If you do, but that's not a conditional sentence. That's just saying
of course
Patrick will go to Italy and eat pasta. Yeah. Okay. Actually, there's one more question, guys, which I just skipped over. Ashita, ii tenki de wa nakereba dekakemasen. Ashita, ii tenki. Guys, if any of you are already lost, put your rabbit ears up. Ii tenki means good weather. Ii tenki. De wa nakereba dekakemasen. Harry, which part don't you understand? Dekakimasen?
Yeah, second half of the sentence.
Dekakimasen means I won't go out. So it's the same as saying demasen. Dekakimasen means to pop out. Let me say it again. Ashita, ii tenki de wa nakereba dekakimasen. So let me just, so guys, put your hands down a second. Let's see if any of you change your minds. The sentence was, if tomorrow the weather is not good, I will not go out. Okay, now judge again. Okay, Konstantina? Okay, Tom, so you put your left hand up, didn't you, Tom? So why would you say you cannot use this sentence?
Because the first part is a state. It's something that is. The nakareba. So it's from, I think, aru.
Yep.
And then I would come to, it's not an action verb, so we cannot, so we can use, I put it wrong.
Yeah. Sure.
There is also different subjects.
Exactly. That's the first thing to ask, really. Are the subjects and the result the same? So the subject, the condition subject was the weather, and the second subject was me. So that immediately they're different. So you can make this sentence. Yeah. Okay. Good. Sorry, guys. I know that this is quite a complex kind of subject, but this might be a good slide to print off at some point and just kind of have flashed in front of your face a few times, just to memorize that if all three of these are yes, then you cannot use it. All right, let's just stop sharing this a second.
Where do I find this slide? Because
okay. If you go on the Facebook group and go into the About section,
yeah,
there's a link to these. There's a Google Drive link to these slides on the About page.
Okay.
All right, guys, let's go now. What time is it? Sorry, 12:10. Okay, lots of time left. Let's go and let's move on. We touched on this last week using the ba form to make the obligative. You must do something. Let's now formally look at this and see it in structure. Let me just slightly change the screen. Okay, so in Japanese there are quite a few ways to say you must do something. I must or you must. But the most natural and standard way is to make a sentence which goes like this. If you don't do X, then it will be bad. It will be Y. It will be bad. Okay.
Nice.
Sure. See you later. If you don't do X, then Y. And Y is supposed to have some kind of bad consequence. It'll be bad, it'll be uncool, it'll be basically you're making a sentence which is a negative conditional sentence. Not if you do X, but if you don't do X. If you don't eat your vegetables, then I will slap you around the back of the head. This is what it means. So the method of doing this is to take your verb or your adjective or your noun and put it into the plain negative form. So for example, excuse me a second, I'm just going to move the window slightly. So for example, iku would become ikanai. Do you remember doing this, guys? When we said, please don't go, we made iku into ikanai and then said ikanai de kudasai. Ikanai de kudasai. This is the plain negative form of a group one verb. Taberu becomes tabenai. This is a group two verb. Suru and kuru become shinai and konai. And e adjectives, atsui would become atsukunai. And na adjectives or nouns would become either genki ganai or genki dewanai. Okay, genki ganai is just the plain way of saying genki ga arimasen. Nai is just the plain form of arimasen, and dewanai is the plain form of dewa arimasen. And then you notice that all of these finish with a little e at the end. Nai, 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 nai. You can treat this as an e adjective and then form the conditional the same way that we do for e adjectives by putting kereba instead of e. So for example, iku becomes ikanai, becomes ikanakereba. Taberu becomes tabenai, becomes tabenakereba. Suru, shinai, shinakereba. Kuru, konai, konakereba. Atsui, atsukunai, atsukunakereba. Genki, genki nai, or genki ganai, genki ga nakareba, or just genki nakareba. Both of these are fine. Now that's created the negative conditional. That's part A of the sentence, but we then have to make the consequence. This is very easy. The easiest one to use and the most polite way to say this, generally polite, is to say narimasen. So this is the negative of naru, to become. It's like saying it's not good, it's not becoming, it does not become narimasen. So if you had to say, I have to go to Tokyo, then I would say Tokyo ni ikanakereba narimasen. If I don't go to Tokyo, then it is not becoming, it is not good. Okay, you can also use this whole sentence just to describe a consequence.
One question.
Yeah.
We use, of course, that narimasen because it's polite, but how you say if it's not polite, if you're just talking? Nai, just nai.
So you could say ikanakareba naranai. Ikanakareba naranai. Yeah. In fact, you can also, if you're making it much more casual, you can make even ikanakareba into a shorter form, which is ikanakcha. Ikanakcha. Ikanakcha naranai. Yeah, but we'll do all that maybe in 3 months' time. Yeah, ikanakcha naranai. Okay. So, sorry, I now can't see this. Excuse me. Yeah, so you can also use this form to just describe a consequence to a condition. Ashita, genki ga nakareba, kaisha ni ikimasen. Tomorrow, if I'm not feeling well, if I'm not genki, I won't go to work. That's just using the negative conditional verb. And then the final bit I wanted to say was this bit here in the red box. the summary of this is that you take what you normally do is take the verb in its plain negative form and add this bit at the end. Nakareba narimasen. That's the phrase you have to learn. Nakareba narimasen. If I don't do this, it's bad. Nakareba narimasen. Okay, should we do some sentences, guys? Right. We're going to now do some revision, not just on the obligative, but on lots of the stuff we've done in the past. So if you don't remember something, if you can't work it out, then just say, and we'll step through it together meticulously. Okay, Sophia. I'd like you to ask David, if the weather is good tomorrow, where will you work? If the weather is good tomorrow, where will you work?
Okay. David-san, 明日天気が good. 良ければ どこで仕事しませんか?
So this would be doko, so you can't say shimasenka. That would be an invitation. You would just have to say doko de shimasu.
Doko de shimasu ka?
Good.
Doko de shimasu ka?
Amanda?
Can I ask a question about yokoreba?
Yeah.
So this is yoi.
Yep.
Is it yoi, not e, because it's in the future?
So you can really, so yeah, it's a good question. I'm not a Japanese expert linguist, but e and yoi mean the same thing, but you can't transform e into the negative or the past without it sounding a bit weird, because it becomes ikunai, which sounds like ikanai, meaning I won't go, and ikata, which is the ikata, which is the past, just doesn't sort of work really. So they use the yoi instead of, excuse me, they use yoi instead of e because it just works for transformations a lot easier.
Okay, just because it's transforming then, not because of the tense it's in.
Exactly, yeah, purely because it's transforming. Yeah. So you can only really use e for the present affirmative tense. Everything else you use yoi.
Okay,
yeah,
thanks.
Yeah. Okay. はい、David-san、どこで仕事しますか?
ここで働きます。
Excellent. ここで働きます。Good. Okay. And then David, how would you say, if you drive quickly, then it is dangerous?
I think I've had this one before, but
okay.
It's a bit hazy.
Okay. Have a go, and then if it's really easy, I'll give you another one.
Yes, 早く運転を
Start from the infinitive, David.
する
Yeah.
早く運転をすれば
Good.
危険です。
Yeah, good. 早く運転すれば or 早く運転をすれば, both of these are fine. 危険です. So 危険 is just the na adjective for dangerous. Abunai is the e adjective for dangerous. Abunai. Good. Yari, how would you say? In fact, I'd like you to ask to Elena, who has now become upwardly mobile. If you're not busy next Saturday, would you like to come to a party?
I said this
you
before,
did, okay.
but I can say it again.
Sure, yeah, why not?
It was a Spiros son last time.
Okay, right.
So, Elena-san, dojobi isokasi kunakereba party ni ikimasu ka?
Very good, really good. Yeah. Hi, Elena-san, ikimasu ka?
はい、来ます。
Okay, good. So
yes,
it's going to be a fun party. Two of you and Spiros. If you want to just express a good response to an invitation, you can use a word which means by all means, which is zehi, zehi. So you put this before the ikimasu, zehi ikimasu.
Zehi ikimasu.
Very good, yes. Good, okay. Elena, how would you say I have to work on Monday? You there, Elena?
Yes, yes.
Just working out.
I was just thinking, hataraku nakereba naranai.
So not hataraku, but turn this into the negative. The u becomes an a at the end.
Hataraki nakereba naranai.
難しいですね。働かな、働かない、働かない。
Hatarakannakereba naranai.
Yes, good. So yeah, なりません. So getsu, then add the Monday bit. On Monday. So Monday is getsuyobi.
Getsuyobi ni hataraka nakereba naranai.
Yes, or narimasen would be probably better to keep it nice and formal. Hataraka nakereba narimasen. Nagai desu ne. Okay, good. Simon, can you ask Konstantina, do you have to work on Friday?
Ooh, what's Friday?
Kinyobi.
Konstantina-san, Kinyobi ni.
Or you could use shigoto.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to use that one, but I didn't remember either. Shigoto shinakereba. Well, actually,
I think you're going the right way.
Shinakereba narimasen ka?
Good, yeah. Yeah, kinyobi ni shigoto shinakereba narimasen ka? Hi, Konstantina-san.
Yeah. How you say no? I don't have to.
You could just say I won't work, which would be shigoto shimasen.
Shigoto shimasen.
Okay.
Shigoto shimasen.
Because you're going to Yari's party with Elena and Spiros.
Yeah. Slowly.
Okay, good.
Okay, yukuri.
What's the verb?
Yeah.
Shigoto sureba, or how you say?
Shigoto sureba? Oh, which bits, Yari?
Kinyobi ni shigoto sureba narimasen ka?
No. Shigoto shinakereba.
Shinakereba.
Yeah. Konstantina, could you say? Oh, okay. You must wear a seatbelt in a car.
I used this the last time.
I thought you did. Yeah. Let's do a different one. Hang on.
The seatbelt.
I can converse in Japanese, but I cannot read a Japanese newspaper. I can converse in Japanese, but I cannot read a Japanese newspaper.
In converse, can I use the speak, hanasho?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Nihon de. Nihon de.
So in Japanese, so Japanese language is.
Nihongo.
Yeah.
Nihongo. Hanakereba. Hana.
So start from the infinitive.
Hanasho.
Good.
Hanaseba.
No, that's sorry. I can converse. So yes.
If I can.
No, it's not if I can. You're just making a statement. So it's I can speak in Japanese, but I cannot read a newspaper.
Ah, okay. Hanasemasu. Nihongo hanasemasu. And the rest of the question?
I cannot read a Japanese newspaper.
けれども、newspaper が、
Shimbun.
I don't know how to say.
Shimbun.
新聞。Bravo. 新聞が、to read. I forgot this, to read. I don't remember it, to read.
Okay. The infinitive is yomu.
Yes, yomu. Yeah. Bravo. Allora, yomumasu. Yomumasu. No, it's not yomumasu.
I cannot read.
Yomimasen. Yomimasen.
That's I won't read.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
That was I won't read. I will not read. But how would you say I cannot read? I'm unable to read.
Ah, unable. Ah. Okay. We need
More short.
potential. Yomeraremasen.
No.
No.
That's I cannot be read. Which might also be true.
Oh my god. Yeah. It's yomu is the first group verb.
Yep.
So yomemasen. Yomemasen.
Yomemasen.
Ah,
Good.
okay. It
Okay.
was simpler. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then the whole sentence. So I
Okay.
can speak in Japanese, but I cannot read a Japanese newspaper.
Nihongo hanasemasu.
Good. Nihongo ga hanasemasu.
けれども、新聞が、読めません。
Yomu.
読めません。
Yomimasen. Good.
読めません。
はい。Nihongo ga hanasemasu ga, or keredomo, shinbun ga yomemasen. Good. Okay. Tom, let's take one from the bottom of the pile. If it is clear tomorrow, if the weather is clear tomorrow, shall we go to the park over there?
Clear?
Clear.
Adjective?
Hareru. Well, it's a verb. You can also use it as a kind of adjective. So the verb is hareru, hareru, to clear. But you then have to say tenki ga hareru in the conditional, or you can just say hare as a kind of noun or an adjective. Hare. So hare desu. So you can choose which one to use. Tenki ga hareru or hare desu.
晴れです。
はい。
天気が、明日、天気が晴れです。
That's saying tomorrow the weather is clear.
If
But you say if it is clear.
then I will use 天気が。The weather is, it has to be in the front. So 明日が晴れ天気です。
No, not quite. So you started off the right way. So ashita tenki ga, and then hare you can use, but this is a conditional sentence. So you can treat hare as a na adjective really. But it must be conditional, so it's if it is clear tomorrow.
So I have to use the aru?
Or nara.
Nara. Same as the hima nara.
Exactly, yes. Yeah.
So 明日天気が晴れnara.
Good.
And the second part of the English was?
Shall we go to that park over there?
公園に
行
きましょう。その公園に
No, that's the park where you are. But, yes.
あの公園に行きましょう。
Yes, is it ikimashou?
行きましょうか。
Yeah, ikimashou ka.
行きましょうか。
Good. Yeah. Good. Ashita tenki ga hare nara, or you could say hare kereba hareru. Sorry, that's not. Harereba I should say. Tenki ga harereba would be the transformation of the hareru as a group 2 verb. Harereba. Asoko no koen ni ikimashou ka? Or ano koen ni ikimashou ka? Both of these are fine. Yeah. Good.
That's why the verb was easier.
It was actually, yeah. Harereba. Okay, Nazca. Do you know this fruit called durian? It smells really bad.
No.
It's a fruit that they eat in Southeast Asia, and it absolutely stinks. It tastes really nice, but it smells really badly. So it's called durian. Please don't eat durian inside the aircraft, inside the airplane. Please don't eat durian inside the airplane.
Mm.
So any words that you don't know, Nazca, just say, and we'll fill in the words. It's just
Hikoki.
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 Yep. And then inside. Yep.
No naka de.
Good.
No.
Hikoki no naka de. Good.
Hikoki no naka de durian o tabenaite kudasai.
Perfect. Hikoki no naka de durian o tabenaite kudasai. Excellent. Well done. Guys, just to increase your vocabulary as well, hikoki no naka de is quite a long sentence, as is kuruma no naka de. So what they actually do, instead of saying no naka de, there's another word for no naka de inside, which is it's kind of a word which means inter, and it's, don't confuse it with other uses of this sound, but it's nai. So an airplane is a machine, it's a flying machine, and its counter is ki. So they would just say kinai de. Ki means machine, and nai means inside. Kinai de. If you want to say inside the car, a car is a vehicle. The counter for vehicles is, weirdly, it's wheels, and this is it's the Chinese reading of wheels, which is sha. So inside the car or inside the bus is shanai de, shanai de. Kinai de, shanai de. So if you're ever flying to Japan and you hear the safety, you won't hear hikoki no naka de, tobacco suwanai de kudasai, don't smoke. You'll hear instead you'll hear the word kinai de, kinai de. Or on the bus, if they say while on the bus, please hold the handrail, you won't hear bus no naka de, you'll hear shanai de, shanai de. Okay, Simon, did you have a question? Sorry.
No, I've heard this before with the nai. But I've heard shanai, for example, in the car or the bus, but I wasn't sure if sha by itself, if you just, for example, with the airplane, you can't just take the word for airplane and add nai.
Correct.
You have to use the onyomi reading or I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. So hikoki, the key at the end means machine or function, and that becomes the kind of the counter for flying machines in general. So
isn't the counter for machine dai?
It is. Yeah, it is.
So okay, because with car, as I've seen it, it's just the kanji for car and then inside, and the onyomi reading of car is sha, so it becomes shanai.
Yeah. So the actual the counting of cars is also dai actually, but it's almost just a kind of it's like a, rather than a count, it's more like a categorization of the thing.
Okay.
So airplanes are ki, wheeled vehicles are sha. It's like this. I'm trying to think what buildings are. We're not really sure, but yeah, these are the two that I do know. They're sort of categories rather than actual answers. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you say hikoki naide? Just one word.
No, you can't.
Or hikoki kinaide.
No. It's either hikoki no naka or kinai. Yeah.
Just kinai.
Yeah. Okay, so Amanda, you're the last one. Let's give you something suitably challenging.
My brain's basically kind of
okay, let's add, we can use this to add a little bit of vocabulary at the same time. If it rains tomorrow, please don't go to the festival in the shrine. Okay, we'll construct this together because there's about 3 different new words here. So if it, yeah, does that?
What's to rain?
So do you know the noun rain?
No.
Ame. Ame. This is some vocabulary that you guys should write down because Japanese, a bit like English, they talk about the weather quite a lot. Ame. And then the verb to fall for rain is furu. Furu.
So is it ame furu?
Yeah, ame ga furu.
Ame ga furu.
Yeah.
Ame ga fureba.
Good. Please don't go to the festival in the shrine.
Ikenai. No. What's festival?
So festival is matsuri. Matsuri.
Matsuri ni.
And the shrine is jinja. Pronounced the same way as the ingredients. Jinja.
Jinja. De.
Yeah. Good.
Ikanai kudasai.
Ikanai de kudasai.
De kudasai.
Yes, good.
Ashta amega fureba matsuri ni jinja de ikanai de kudasai.
Perfect. Ashta amega fureba matsuri ni jinja de ikanai de kudasai. Or you could say jinja no matsuri, the festival of the shrine. Jinja no matsuri ni ikanai de kudasai. Good. Okay, that's everybody's had one go. But next week, guys, we haven't finished yet, by the way, but next week we're going to do basically a continuation of what we've just done, which is to revise everything. And maybe we'll only introduce one tiny bit of grammar or vocabulary, because I think it's now time to go over everything we've done. We've done an awful lot of volume, and we now need to master it. But to finish it today, what I'd like to do is just do a little bit of an explanation about days of the week. So there's no tests. Okay, let me just turn that onto that and present and click through this. Right, so days of the week can be categorized into the same way that we do, into weekdays and weekend. So weekdays is heijitsu, heijitsu. So hei means flat or peaceful, and jitsu means day. This is the character for day. It's the same hei as in heiwa, as in the era, the Japanese era we've just come out of. Heiwa and nichi. And then weekend is shumatsu. Shu meaning week, and matsu meaning the end or the stopping of. Shumatsu.
So you can't say weekday yobi. It's a heijitsu.
If you're just talking generally about weekdays in general, then you'd say heijitsu. Yeah. If you want to specifically talk about one weekday, like Monday, then it would be getsu yobi. Yeah. Okay, let's have a look at the days of the week. Right, so this is the days of the week in English from Monday to Sunday, and you're probably aware that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday all are named after Norse gods. So Tuesday comes from Tu, Wednesday from Woden or Odin, Thursday from Thor, and Friday from Freya. But as most of you know, because you come from a different region of Europe than Yari, most other countries use the Latin, or well, we use the French today. Here's my typical French person. Voila. We use a Latin system. Sorry.
You're Breton.
Yes. Let's say, so that I don't get accused of being racist, let's say he's a Breton. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Il n'y a pas une bicyclette sans bicyclette, without a bicycle. But we use the French system because most people know French here, I think. So Constantino, I guess you know this in Italian. It looks pretty much the same, doesn't it? So lundi, mardi, mercredi, jeudi, vendredi, samedi, dimanche. And then if we actually look at what the meanings of this are, of course, di means day, but the first part, lun, means luna, moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, Saturn, and the Sun. So I know it doesn't sound like sun, but it comes from the Latin dies solis. Sorry, Nazca, I do know a little bit about the Polish days of the week, and I know that they're completely constructed differently. Like Monday is called the day after Sunday, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm expecting Tuesday to be the day after Monday.
No, I don't really know. It seems nothing.
Right, just a word.
Like, but Wednesday is the day in the middle.
Ah, okay. Środa.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But okay, yes. I wait and I ask later.
Sure. Okay. So here's the Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, and then what these planets or these heavenly bodies are called in Japanese goes like this. So Getsu or Tsuki. Sorry, I'm just going to mute a few because there's a bit of background noise. Moon is Getsu or Tsuki. Mars is called the fire star, because of its color. So it's called Kase. Ka meaning fire, sei meaning star. Mercury is called the water star. Sui is the Chinese reading of Mizu, and sei meaning star. Jupiter, I don't know why, but it's called the wood star. In fact, actually, I do know why. I'll come to it in a second. Moku or Boku, Bokuto or Boken comes from this word Moku, wood star. Venus is called the gold star, Kin meaning gold. Saturn is called Do, Earth star. This isn't the Do as in planet Earth, not Earth star as in planet Earth. It means the soil or the ground beneath our feet. And then finally, they call the Sun Nichi. Now, by complete coincidence, or maybe some kind of weird connection along the Silk Roads, they also call the days after the week after these heavenly bodies. So Monday is Moon Day, Getsuyobi, which is the same as what we do. Kayobi is Tuesday, the fire day, which also refers to Mars, which is what we say. Suiyobi, the water day, which is what we call Mercury, the water star. Mokusei becomes Mokuyobi, Kinyobi, Doyobi, and Nichiyobi. The reason for these being picked actually as days of the week is to do with the 5 elements, which is a common thing in Chinese culture. So kin is actually supposed to be metal, but they went for gold. So this is how we can remember, well, maybe you can't remember it this way, but it's just an interesting look at how the days of the week in Japanese and probably Chinese as well is the same, almost the same as it is in Latin, or at least it's got a very strong connection. So guys, if I can ask you to unmute yourselves a second. So get your voices warmed up, ready for some singing. Okay, so let's look at the characters for a second as well. This is the one for Moon, which you can see looks a little bit like a crescent moon. Mars or fire, this looks a little bit like fire, doesn't it? So you can see flames coming up. I'm not exactly sure how that looks like water, but that's the character for water.
Flowing.
The river, yeah, flowing.
Oh yes, yeah, almost certainly is a characterization of the river symbol. Yeah, you're right. This does look like wood, doesn't it? It looks like a tree. Yep. There's the roots and there's the top of the tree. I'm not sure about gold, but
I always thought it was like a money chest with a lid on top.
Yeah, could be.
Yes, the bank.
Yeah.
Or no, it's the mountain, and they dig to get the gold. That's how we did and the water is like a splash. That's why it's like that.
Splash.
Ah.
Yeah.
And then Earth is quite easy. That's supposed to be the surface with a man standing on top of it. And then you can see the sun looks a little bit like the sun, like almost circular with some squiggly lines.
Your little overlay thing there's kind of obscured it.
Yeah, how do I remove it?
If you don't move, it will go away.
Yeah.
If you don't move the mouse, it
Yeah.
fades.
There we go.
One question, because somebody sometimes tell to me that in Japan they start from Nichiobi. These days, the order is different.
No, so do we really. I mean, there are
Okay.
some people who in Europe who also start on Sundays, the first day of the week.
Yeah,
It's kind of incidental, really. I don't think there's an international official first day of the week.
Religious, the Sunday is a Saturday in Jewish religion.
Right.
That's why normally in the past, so thousands of years ago, Sunday was Saturday. That's why they shifted.
Ah, right.
Resting day was actually Saturday, not Sunday.
Ah. Oh yeah, the Sabbath.
The Sabbath.
Yeah.
Is it complete coincidence that halfway around the world, these people also have a 7-day week?
Yeah, that's
No
amazing
idea.
also, yes. Why 7 days?
That's practical.
Yeah.
Why 7?
Good question, David.
Because it's not because way
There
back
could
when
be 10 days
the
also,
Gregorian
or
calendar
5.
wasn't over there.
Yeah, I guess culture spreads somehow, probably. Yeah. Okay, so let's now have a little bit of revision before we finish, guys. So I'd like you to make sure you're unmuted and say the day of the month as I point to the character. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Getsuyobi.
Yobi.
Kayobi. Suyobi.
Gobi.
Mokuyobi.
Kinyobi.
Doyobi.
Ichiobi.
Okay, one more time. Feeling? Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Getsuyobi.
Yobi.
Kayobi.
Bi.
Suyobi. Mokuyobi.
Gobi.
Kinyobi.
Doyobi.
Nichiobi. Okay, good. Just as we finish, guys, let's look at this character down here for Nichiobi. You'll see that B in the Nichiobi is the word for sun, and Nichi is also the word for sun. And in the word your, you can also just see the character here also for sun. So writing Sunday, you write the character for sun 3 times. In fact, I think actually those 2 little characters there are also short versions of writing the sun. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. You write the word character for sun 5 times when you write Nichiobi. Incredible, huh? Right. 皆さん、質問か問題がありませんか？ありますか？質問か問題
ありません。
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 すごいね。Okay. So, 質問か問題がなければ終わりましょうか？ Can I say this sentence?
You can try. If there are no problems anymore, can you say the sentence?
Can you say it again?
Yeah. Shitsumon, questions. Ka, or mondai, problems. Ga, nakereba, owarimashou ka. Owarimashou means shall we finish? Owarimashou ka. Can I say this sentence?
Subjects.
Yes.
Sorry, Amanda?
Yeah, you can, because it's different subjects, and also one is a state, not a. If there are problems, there are.
Yeah, actually, that's the main point, is that the mondai and questions that nakareba, this is a state rather than an action verb. That's the main point. Yeah, good. Yeah, we can say it. じゃあ皆さん、質問か問題がなければ終わりましょう。じゃあねー。
じゃあねー。
ありがとうございました。また。
じゃあねー。